Welcome to today's panel, the AI Proof Agency, What Winners Will Do Differently. We are so excited to have some absolutely world-class guests with us today. I am thrilled to welcome John Miles. John has spent over 35 years leading marketing. I lovingly call him the mayor of New Zealand. He seems to also just know everyone in New Zealand. He's an international keynote speaker, author of SOD, Just Do It, and the guy who took the New Zealand Marketing Association from local to globally recognized. He's worked with New Zealand's and some of the world's biggest brands like Google, Meta, TikTok, Spark, the list goes on and on. John Miles, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much. And just to correct the New Zealand pronunciation, it's sod it, just do it.
I've been meaning to ask you that. Okay, good to know. Thank you, John.
There you go. Thank you for the very lovely welcome. Honored to be here.
Yes, that sounds great. We're thrilled to have you. And we also have joining us Federico Pascual, who I lovingly refer to as the startup whisperer. I don't even know if you know that, Fed. But Fed has had over 12 years in artificial intelligence. He was head of marketing at HuggingFace and COO and co-founder at Monkeylearn, which has been acquired. Today, he runs two solo ventures, WordCrafter, which turns SERP intelligence into content that ranks, and Signally, your AI sales agent for LinkedIn. He also advises startups, and no big deal, in his free time, he's teaching himself robotics. Federico, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Brittany. Thanks for the lovely intro, and yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. So thrilled. We're going to jump right in. So nice and easy, soft opening for everyone. AI is available to all of us, right? So if every agency has access to the same tools, what will actually separate the winners from everyone else?
Great. John, do you want to start?
Oh, wait, I'll let you brainy ones start first, and then, I'll come in with the... I'll come in with the more human side of it, being I'm a techo dinosaur, remember?
Sounds good. So yeah, AI is another tool. It's a powerful tool, but it's just a tool. So for example, my first two jobs were actually in digital marketing agencies. The first one was really bad, and the second one was great, and we provided great value for in this agency. And in both we have the same tools. So it's a matter on how we use these tools in order to provide value to our customers at the end of the day. And so, yeah, it's like the world is changing, and it's changing fast, and every month it will change faster. So it's how we understand that and what we are doing to change and adapt into this new world, and basically be better, faster, and bolder than the regular agency. So that's how I see things. It's like there is a lot of space to innovate and break things and do new stuff that others with the same tools are not, are more careful or slower or not bolder enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 100% agree. I mean, AI from my point of view, being an old codger here, it's an efficiency tool. Like there's, been all sorts of different efficiency tools over time. And if you have a look at different things like the printing press, it suddenly allowed people to communicate on scale rather than having to handwrite everything. And I think what's going to separate the winners are those who can think. It's those agencies who can really bring judgment and be able to talk to their clients about what they need. I mean, AI is just outputting a whole load of stuff. Who's going to sort through all the rubbish that's there? And unless you're an agency that can you really use what I call the grey matter, the brain, you're not going to be a winner, because you can put something into AI and I can have 100 responses within a minute. And unless you've got that ability to critically think, then you might as well pack up shop and go home. But so they're the ones who I think AI commoditizes content where it doesn't give people courage, it doesn't give them creativity, trust, or accountability, and all those human side of things is what's going to separate an agency to be a winner or an also-ran.
Yeah, completely agree. Fed, any other final thoughts on that one?
Yes, I agree with John. I think it's all about, at least how I see things is like, there is a space on rethinking stuff because you need to rethink in this world where intelligence is cheap and scalable, how the game changes. And that basically means changing a lot of different things, and the future in 1 year will look very different. And we need to make bets into what we believe will that future look like and start acting right now. So yeah, it's all about, I think there is a big opportunity for new agencies because these will be bolder at the end of the day. I think that traditional agencies will have a hard time adapting fast enough and bold enough because of existing structures and cultures. And so, yeah, for me, the bolder will see the prize at the end of the day.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, because often one of the biggest hindrances to innovation within large organizations is people's are very wary about sticking their head up and giving an opinion, because people will judge them. And the smaller, more nimble type agencies, they just say, hey, they really don't give a stuff. They're going to go through and say, hey, this is what I think. And whereas if you're in a big corporate, a more corporate size agency, oh gosh, someone might think badly of me if I do that. Gosh, I can't do that. So I 100% agree with Federico. It is going to be the nimble, creative, people who want to give stuff a go.
Yep. I love that. I feel like I'm seeing that a lot throughout my AI courses as well, as the students that come out really successful with workflows that they've built with AI, they're using it, right? They're learning by doing, and they're executing, they're bolder, they're willing to take some risk and iterate. And it is, to your point, Federico, too, it is this like new mental model that we haven't ever seen or had to use before. So it's a wild time. Wild, wild west. All right. Awesome. Now, curious if either one of you want to tackle this one. I've been to a couple of conferences recently, and everyone's just dying to know, how are you using AI, right? We're hungry for workflows, and what are you doing with it? And so I'm curious if either of you want to share an AI workflow that you maybe set up in the last 90 days and just walk us through it.
Well, you got to remember, I said before, Brittany, I'm a techo dinosaur. I have a team, and the team actually go through and do all of this sort of things. And we get all of our revenue via our e-commerce platform, and we use HubSpot. So the team are constantly looking at developing workflows through there in terms of follow up on members. We've just had a complete audit done of our system of where we can improve and do things. I mean, my job is to is when they want a decision on something. That's something that I then need to do. And I have a little thing. If you have read my book, I call it Australia's greatest contribution to the business world, and it's called the pub test. And the pub test is a thing where, if you're having a drink with a friend over, in a bar, and you explain an idea, is it common sense? Does it make sense? And if it's not making sense, then why are you doing it? So it's really, I think, really important just to strip things back to, I think people just overcomplicate everything. And because AI is so complicated, it's even more necessary for us to actually simplify things to actually understand it. So that's, so sorry, it's not a workflow, but maybe how you judge a workflow. Yeah.
I love it. Nice.
So in my case, I'm using AI mainly for two things. On one side, increase revenue, and on the other side, save money and reduce costs. So
Yes.
on the revenue side of things, I'm using AI for getting more leads in a scalable, repeatable, cost-effective way. And it started with a very bare bones MVP of a project where I started listening to LinkedIn. People on LinkedIn express their problems, their challenges, what they're working on. They also discuss tools that they like and they dislike. So basically, over LinkedIn, there are buyers that, for example, in my first product, Workrafter, is a SEO tool. So I'm using AI to basically listen people posting on LinkedIn, categorizing those posts to find that needle in the haystack to identify those that really have the problem that my niche product solves, and save them as leads that then I can use AI to write a personalized message and reach out and start the outbound process. So I'm using AI for that. And also, I'm using AI for saving money, basically, reducing costs. So, for example, in the last month alone, I have canceled my subscription to HubSpot because I built my own custom CRM. I canceled my subscription to Intercom, which I use it to provide my help desk with in-app chat in my software product, and also my help center, where I publish articles to help users get more value out of my products. I canceled Calendly and built my own scheduler. I also built my own email client to send emails faster with the help of AI, feeding data from my custom CRM and other places. So yeah, I'm in the process of reducing cost. This month alone, I reduced 50% my cost, and I have a roadmap in the next 6 months, achieve like 80% cost reduction in total. And so, yeah, it's very, very exciting. Yeah, it feels magical.
That is unreal. It is truly magical. And I want to quickly just note also the lead generation on LinkedIn, that workflow that you shared, which I experimented with and got over 80% response rate on my experiment because it's so crafted to what these people have posted or commented or liked within the last just couple of days. And so that sort of customization is on another level from anything we've ever seen before. But also, Fed, talking to you about kind of these solutions that you've built, it's interesting to note like that human side of it is that you were able to construct the value-driven workflow, right? Like you kind of knew where to take this technology in terms of how to connect the pieces to accomplish X, Y, Z. I think that's super important to highlight too.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, it's trying to do a better job at the end of the day because, for example, when you do outbound sales, it's all about finding the right people in the right place, in the right time, and reach out with the right message. I don't want to bother people that don't have the problem or don't have the need. It's a waste of time for me and for them, So it's like AI allows us to do that, just to identify those that have the problem, that are talking right now about the problems that my product solves and have the needs that my product solves, and reach out with a message that resonates, And so that's the magic. And it's like, it's working so well that I basically built a product around that. There is a product that I'm launching, Signally, that allows others to also build these workflows. But I see, AI as an enabler, like a 100x enabler for marketing and lead generation. It's like, this is just a small example.
Could
Yeah.
I send you my book, Fed, just to do a little workflow on that? That would be really
Yeah.
brilliant.
Happy to
my
help
God.
you with that, John.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy.
Yeah.
I've only been launched 3 weeks, I need help.
Oh my gosh, John, that's so funny. All right, speaking of your book, John, your book
Yeah.
is gonna start, gonna change, and then you do nothing. With
Yeah.
a new AI tool every week, how do agency owners avoid this analysis paralysis and actually identify tools or workflows that really support their needs?
I mean, I take it back to a basic strategy level, and what that is that you've got to ask the question: if we did the best job ever for our clients, what would it look like? So if
Yeah.
you've got to identify those areas that you as an agency, I always love the word brilliant, is where can we be brilliant at? And from there, is it what's going to give your clients a better experience? Is it sharper strategy, stronger creativity, whatever it may be? And I call it sometimes the decision before the decision, because it's not a decision on, do I use this tool or whatever. The decision is about where do we want to be brilliant at. And then that then goes into my second thing, which I can't probably say what that title is, but it's research the out of it, to actually see whether or not it's going to enable you to do that. And you've got to start with not what AI tools should we use, but where do we want to be brilliant. And
Yeah.
from that, you can then start looking at these things, and it gives you a proper reference point. You can judge every AI tool on what your real need is, rather than, whoo, that's a shiny new tool, let's go and use that one, So
Yeah.
actually, you've got to be looking at only adopting the AI tools which are actually going to benefit your business. I mean, just like Fed was saying before, those different things. I mean, they've benefited his business. He's actually created things which are actually going to make a real difference, not only to him, but to his clients and to the profitability of his business. And look, after two months of work, because he identified the need, look at what his ROI is. I mean, it's pretty, that sounds pretty darn amazing, So, that's my point. I mean, I think, again, people overcomplicate it. You've got to go back on a strategic level and really look at it and say, as a business, where do we want to be? Where do we want to be fantastic? Where are we going to be adding value? What are we going to be providing that people will actually, open their wallet and pay money to us for?
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. And I echo that too with, start with the problem, identify like clear problem space first, and then you will start to come across what helps support that solution. Absolutely brilliant.
And again, if you just, Fed's told me a little bit about his Signally before, in terms of, that's really identified a problem that marketers have across LinkedIn. And so it's like, well, he's brilliant enough that he can actually create the thing. But, but for us as an organization, and we use LinkedIn a lot, to enable us to do far better targeting, to have less spam, all of those things, it's a win-win all the way around. And, I'm always a great believer on 1 + 1 = 3. And I think, that's what that's what Fed has done, with that particular product. So you should be looking at your AI tool, any AI tool, and always linking it back to your strategy and how you want to be better and how you want to provide better service.
I love that. I feel like that should be on a huge banner and public service announcement. Everyone's just trying to shove AI in places like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? Yeah, that was great. Fed, so Many agencies are rushing to build these AI-powered services. You've been inside AI at HuggingFace and Monkeylearn. What do agencies misunderstand about how this tech works? And what does that lead them to use it wrong? How does that cause problems?
Yeah, I echo most of the things that John said. I have been working in AI since 2014 with Monkeylearn, the startup that I co-founded. We help companies like Salesforce, Snapchat, GitHub, Stanford University, Ticketmaster, and others to automate processes with AI. Back then in 2014, we didn't talk about AI, we talked about machine learning.
Yeah.
And the thing that, to me, that most people don't realize is that the barrier to start implementing AI and start, for example, automating workflows with AI, technology was never the real barrier. It was not in 2014, and it's not now. The main blockers that I have seen firsthand with Monkeylearn and HuggingFace is that the number one challenge that company has is like identifying real use cases that provides real value and good return on investment.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people hear about machine learning, hear about AI because they are on LinkedIn, they're on X, there are multiple places reading about AI and the exciting things that you could do with AI. But for me, they don't put a pause and really think on how you can use AI to enable your team to provide more value to your customers. What are your bottlenecks? Where you can have a massive return on investment, do things 10x faster, 10x better, 10x cheaper. And it's like they struggle to find the right use cases. And second of all, is like another barrier they have seen time and time again. Once they find real use cases, it's all about stakeholder buy-in and resistance to change. It's like AI requires change if you want to use it at an important part of your company, an important process within your company. And it's like, for example, we have massive companies like Snapchat and Twilio, for public companies that use Monkeylearn to automate processes in customer support. For example, tagging and routing and triaging support tickets to the right person and the right team automatically. The real challenge was not the AI part. It was actually, the key stakeholders and the actual customer support team to embrace AI and change their mindset and change the way they work. People are resistant to change. And if you don't change with AI, you will fail.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. That also backs up everything John just said in terms of tying it back to strategy. I absolutely love that. All right, there's a fun debate section here. Let's imagine it's 2030. Will agencies become smaller and more profitable, or will AI simply engage agencies to become much larger than ever before?
My view is they'll be smaller because you've got so much of the repetitive production work, first draft sort of thing. I mean, all the automation that you can do, where I believe they will have a better ROI if they go down the track of having people who can think better. And the ability to go through and identify to me, it's actually just classic agency stuff from 20 years ago, Mad Men sort of times. People employed agencies to think and to actually come up with solutions that they can't think of. And, that's really the point of difference for agencies. It's that ability. And I forget which agency had the slogan. I always loved it, but all it said was think. And that was their campaign. And that's actually where I believe, the agencies are going. And they'll have better ROI because of it, because people will pay more for it. The ability to have great ideas, because they're getting drowned with, hundreds and hundreds of stuff just thrown at them, So how are they going to decide on what's the right thing to do. And that's where agencies come in.
Yeah.
I agree with John. I think that agencies will be 10x
And we
smaller.
hadn't met before. We hadn't sort of colluded beforehand.
I think that, agencies will be 10x smaller and will serve 10x bigger market and 10x more customers. You know, as I mentioned, my first 2 jobs were in two digital marketing agencies. Like in any company, there were individual contributors that were the rock stars, that were like amazing talent that provided massive value. Then like 80-90% of the rest of the individual contributors were just, you know, catching up. And the same with, you know, the strategists and the managers, you know. For me, in this Asian time, is like it will be just this type of amazingly talented person, like the 10x marketer, that it won't need another colleague or another teammate to be able to serve more customers. It will be that person alone will be able to serve all these customers in a faster way than, you know, working with these teammates that are catching up. I believe that it's all about pairing, you know, the amazing talents in each field and working together. So, for example, an amazing marketer with an amazing designer and an amazing engineer surrounded by amazing AI. That small unit will provide more value than a 50, 100 people agency.
I love that. I think that's a powerful takeaway. And this leads me into, if you were building a modern agency from scratch today, what would your tech stack and operation model look like?
Personally, it's like I'll start building these cells of teams, you know, just one amazing world-class talent on each field, an amazing marketer, an amazing designer, an amazing engineer, and so on. Surround them with amazing AI tools, starting with Claude and Cloud Code and Cloud Design and everything Claude. And just give them autonomy and agency and ability to experiment, because nowadays it's time for innovators and builders, you know. It's time to experiment and try things. Most probably, most of the things won't stick or won't, you know, be the thing that will provide massive value. But it's the only way to reach to that point, you know, to reach to the right configuration, because nobody really knows what the future will look like. You know, things are going faster and faster and faster. And I think that the key is not thinking about how the future will be in 1 year. It's like enabling and building a team that can iterate fast enough to reach to that point faster than the competition.
Could I just chip in there as well? It's about empowering people. You know, you've got to be, you know, enable people to go in and have a go. And it's, you know, the whole thing about sod it, just do it, is go in there and have a go and learn from it and celebrate your failures as well as your successes, because often it's through the failures that you actually learn more, where you will actually be successful. And unless you're empowering people, I mean, everyone goes to work to do a good job, in my opinion. So it's enabling them to do an even better job than what they're currently doing it. And you can only do that if you empower people to allow them to express themselves and have a go. I mean, I'm the most hands-off manager you've ever seen in your life. You know, everyone goes, "Oh, why don't you go and do that?" I said, well, that's their job. They'll go and do it, and they'll come and talk to me if there's any problems or anything. Yeah, let people own what they do. And if you give them ownership, they will, you know, they'll thrive, and they'll come up with stuff that you've never thought of, because they've got ownership and they take pride in it, and they will really enjoy what they're doing.
I absolutely love that. And I've witnessed you do that so beautifully, John. And I think you create such a safe space for the people that you work with. I was next to you when you received a call from one of your employees on a pretty big mess up for an event. And I just thought it was such a cool example of creating this kind of safety net for people to get things wrong. They were totally comfortable calling you directly, explaining what they did. And you handled it beautifully. But I think creating that like safety net that empowers the teams that you work with is so, so important.
Oh, well, thank you. I can't remember what it was, but anyway.
I'll tell you later, I do. Awesome. That's a great note to leave off on. I want to thank you both so much for joining us today. These were incredible takeaways. And yeah, look forward to chatting with you soon.
Oh, thank you very much. And, great to have been invited.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for inviting me. Bye-bye.